I am Beardmohbox, and this is my list of the top 10 teams to build up in franchise mode on Madden 16. I'm basing this on two main things. The first one is teams that need a lot of new players, but also teams that have solid young players already, but then you can develop them yourself and build a team up that way. I also make reference to the salary cap space of each team, as this obviously affects what you can do in free agency, and a quick disclaimer here is that the actual cap space in your first season will be higher when it actually comes to the free agency period, when you take into account players leaving and retiring and whatnot, so the numbers may be a little bit low now, but they will be slightly higher when it actually comes to you needing that space. So number one is the Raiders. I've been using the Raiders in franchise mode for the past couple of years now, and in Madden 16 they are in no doubt the best team to use if you have an eye on the future. Their offense is very young and very good with Carr, Murray and Amari Cooper, but there's still space for improvement on the line and at the tight end position. The defense also has some solid pieces in Khalil Mack and Williams, but you will need to bring in new linebackers and also replace Woodson at the end of the first season as he will retire. The Raiders have spent big in free agency in recent years as well, leaving you with only $2.8 million in cap space. Number two are the Rams. The Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, but even there you can improve a couple of linebacker positions as well as getting better depth at cornerback. The great thing here is you won't need to touch the defensive line for the next 5 years, if not even longer. But it's on offense that the Rams really need help. Despite having a future star running back, you can upgrade the receiver and tight end positions as well as quarterback, and the Rams are pretty much the worst line in the game, so shoring that up will be quite the task. You'll have to be a bit more careful with cap space, however, as the Rams only have $9.5 million. At number 3 we have the Jaguars. The Jaguars have their franchise quarterback as well as a deadly pair of receivers and a star tight end. You can develop TJ Yeldon at running back into a great player, and the O-line only needs a little bit of fixing up. The defense can pretty much be completely revamped, down to the better players tending to be quite a bit older, and if you want to risk it you could attempt a fire sale on defense early in the year in an attempt to build through the draft at the end of the season. With only $3.3 million in cap space you might struggle in free agency unless you're willing to wave goodbye to a couple of veterans anyway. Number 4 we have the Buccaneers. The Bucs made it this high on the list because of the young age of their key offensive contributors. Although some positions can be upgraded and you may choose to let some players like Doug Martin walk in free agency in favour of greater cap room, the offense doesn't need much work at all. Your main task would be replacing Chris Conte as quickly as possible pretty much. And the Bucs don't have any major flaws on defense, but plenty of positions that can be upgraded either through the draft or free agency, and with $20.4 million in cap space, the latter is certainly an option worth thinking about. In at number 5 we have the Texans. They may have JJ Watt, but that doesn't mean they don't need help. A new quarterback, tight end and receiver support for Hopkins are all necessary additions to the Texans, and the defense is no longer as flawless as it was years ago. The fun part with this team is trying to get first overall draft pick production out of Clowney, who's getting scarily close to bust status at this point. With $12.8 million in cap space, you have some money to play around with, but you could build just as easily through the draft, considering your first season may not actually be the greatest. The Texans just need some better coaching and general management, and you could be that guy. Number 6 is the Browns. The first and biggest decision you have to make with the Browns is whether you want to move forward with Manziel or look for a new quarterback. Another decision to make, if you choose to play realistically, is whether you bring back Josh Gordon after sitting out the first season or just cut bait and build your own team. Barnage is about the only offensive player who will be hard to upgrade, excluding the O-line, and the defense can do with new players on the line, at linebacker and in the secondary. $14.4 million gives you a bit of breathing room and playing around money, and just imagine being the one to take the Browns to a Super Bowl. At number 7 we have the Titans. With the Titans you shouldn't have to worry about any part of the passing game, but the offensive line and running back position certainly can be upgraded. The defense also needs improving in most positions, and free agency isn't much of an option with a starting cap space of only $1.1 million. This team will certainly bring out your inner general manager, and it will challenge you in that aspect of the game whilst being ready to play on the field. Number 8, perhaps a bit more of a surprise here, but it shouldn't be when you take a look at the 77 overall rated defense. I included the Colts for anybody who prefers building defense over offense, as the Colts offense is pretty much set for the next 5 years. You will need to bring in a new running back at some point, unless you want to give Vic Ballard another shot. But defense should be priority number 1 here. Every single position group on defense needs an upgrade at some point in the depth chart, and with $11.8 million in cap space and really only one side of the ball to worry about, you can have some fun building this team. Number 9, the Bills. The Bills are another team that are already solid, but made this list because of the young age of their players. You may choose to let Mario Williams walk, and that would leave you with a big hole to fill, but it would also increase your $8.9 million of cap space, giving you the ability to find a new pass rusher wherever you choose to look for it. With Shady McCoy and Watkins on offense, you can choose whether you want to continue with Tyrod Taylor, give EJ Manuel another shot, or head off into a completely other direction and get your own quarterback from the draft or from free agency or trading. Another challenge here is facing the Patriots offense and the Jets defense twice a year, every season, so that gives you something you really have to build for. At number 10 we have a mix of two teams. It was originally only going to be the Eagles, with the mission of fixing the mess that Chip Kelly created and now has left, but then I thought including the Patriots made sense for two reasons. Firstly, they were the youngest team to ever win a Super Bowl, meaning that you have a lot of guys you can develop yourself, but a few seasons in, you will also be faced with the daunting task of replacing Tom Brady. With either of these teams, winning straight off the bat in your first season shouldn't be too hard, but both bring up challenges down the road. The Eagles' problem being a lot of guys are going to start eating into your cap space when it comes down to renewing some of those contracts. And that concludes my video of the top 10 teams to build with on Madden 16. If you like the video, you can always give it a like, you can always subscribe, and I always appreciate it when people comment. Thank you very much for watching, and come back next week.
Play that funky music, white boy.